Welcome, Garbagetown citizens, to Castalgia, the Garbagetown Nostalgia Podcast. I'm your host, Dave, and with me we got number one.
Hello, my name is Mike.
Number one.
Hello, my name is Mike.
Also, this is
and contestant number 2.
This is in order of how much I like each person.
Nice.
Number 2.
I'm Sebastian. Hi.
I'm the second most liked.
Yeah, apparently.
Sound sad about it. 3.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm the third most liked.
4.
I'm between the
You didn't even place, dude.
fourth and sixth most powerful. How does it go on Earthbound?
Oh, you're getting into
Oh yeah,
I'm between the second and fourth most powerful.
Yeah.
Most liked.
Getting a little Nostalgia in, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, you're bringing
Yeah,
up the
Keenan's
topic
kicking
of
us
this.
up. Kicking us up.
Can I
Kicking us off.
Keenan's kicking us up.
Can I move?
Ow!
He's kicking us up.
Can I move up? I want to be. I think you like me more.
I think he just got kicked up to number 3.
Yeah.
Did.
Kicked him up.
Kicked him up.
Nice.
Ouch!
Getting Josh out of his spot.
So this week we're going to be talking about, it's a topic I'm bringing up, and we're going to talk about JRPGs. Broad topic.
Let's go through the room first and see who's played a JRPG.
All right.
Who's played?
Show of hands.
Who's played and who's finished one? I think those are the
You don't
two.
have to finish one.
Well, can you tell
Let's
me,
do
like,
both.
There's pretty much so many JRPGs from my childhood I didn't finish.
You finished one, at
Okay,
least.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask my brother Josh here now. What's a JRPG that I might have played? RPG
Pokemon.
Maker?
Pokemon.
There we go.
I don't think you played Pokemon, though.
Nah. I played Pokemon Snap. Does that count?
No. Kingdom Hearts.
Good game though.
Kingdom Hearts is a total JRPG.
Okay,
No,
I
it's
played
not.
Kingdom Hearts.
Well,
Okay.
Yes, it is.
I think.
I
I don't think
feel
of
like-
Kingdom Hearts as
I don't think of action RPGs as a defining, JRPG thing.
I mean,
I
it is a
think
Japanese.
So for me, this JRPG is a little bit more broad of a term. I'm not talking about specifically turn-based Japanese RPGs. I'm talking about just Japanese RPGs in general.
Give a description of what a JRPG is to you.
Made by Square.
That's about right.
What an RPG is, or what a JRPG is?
JRPG. Everybody knows what an RPG is.
Rocket propelled grenade.
Bam!
Everybody's played Call of Duty.
So
Everybody's watched Black Hawk Down.
for me, a JRPG, it's almost like an aesthetic thing. Like it has to do with like mostly the art design and some system stuff. Like there should be some amount of progression, like statistical progression. And
Also,
You mean like
what
leveling
country
up?
it was made in as well?
yes,
Important.
yeah.
But there's games you would call JRPGs that are not made in Japan. I think that is just the thing we started calling them.
Yeah, I agree with that because like Child of Light, I consider
It's
a
like
JRPG.
calling Arcade Fire indie rock, even though they won a Grammy now.
Yeah, I just got really scared because I saw that. I thought you weren't talking into your mic at all, but then I realized that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
upgraded this week, and me and Mike are on headset wireless mic.
Yeah, I
You can
apologize
tell
in
by
advance.
you can tell by the quality difference.
We really upgraded. I'm moving my head around like you guys wouldn't believe. The entire time I've been talking this far, I'm just turning my head left to right the whole time.
It might sound like we
Everybody-
have a bit reduction plug-in on our.
Everybody else is a little
vocals.
freaked out because it makes my expression look like I'm saying no all the time, but it's the most free I've ever felt during a podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, so Metal Gear is kind of a JRPG then, because it is made in Japan.
No, there's no statistical progression.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like an action game.
Yeah,
It's a stealth tactical espionage game.
Not really. It's a lot more complicated than that. You don't.
You're right. It's more complicated.
Please don't be
Yeah.
reductive.
So, anyways, sorry for taking us off track with mic talk.
we'll be
I did not mean
funneling.
specifically
So
mic.
much
I
for
meant,
We'll be
number one
funneling-
on the introductions
I
list.
meant microphone talk.
From now on, we'll be funneling all Mike talk into our separate podcast, Mike Talk,
Mike talks
which is
mics.
going to be Mike just talking mics for about an hour. We'll be testing different mics, trying different sounds.
But and for every word
Would
he's
be
gonna
so
change.
boring.
For every word he's gonna change the mic so you can get a real
A/B test.
comprehensive view of how
He
each
goes
mic
like-
sounds.
Yeah, you'll
Okay.
even hear like the crackle in between each
Just
one.
let me finish this tangent real quick. Here's what it'll feel like. Sure, 57. RE20.
Is that a different mic? Oh, that is.
Condenser mic. Okay, that's it.
This is gonna be really good for people.
Look
who-
forward to that, guys.
Yeah, general condenser mic.
Seemed like the grocery outlet or something.
I'm gonna start a podcast. Actually, I want to announce my podcast as well. It's also called Mike Talk, and I'm just gonna talk about Mike. All my favorite mics, Mike Davis himself, just all things Mike, but not microphones. I don't know anything about microphones. I won't even use a microphone to record it.
It was really tough recording. That was one of the things I remember the most was getting a mic in front of you. So
I
had
don't.
to get
I
you
refuse to
singing
use
to it.
mics. Sorry, I got a message. I'm actually on Craigslist on my phone right now.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead, Dave.
So
Cool.
so
Oh, this is good.
back to this main topic.
I feel like another defining feature is the length of those games.
Yes, I was trying to think of like maybe an exception, but I can't think of one.
I
They're,
mean, it's
they're
like-
all at least 20 hours,
That's a main
but
thing
usually they go to like
that
40.
changes me from thinking about it as like just an RPG.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't think of Paper Mario as a JRPG.
I do because of the mechanics,
Ooh, I've played that. I like Paper Mario a lot.
but well, and also the 1,000-Year Door is really long.
Which one is that?
It's the second one for
I
GameCube.
haven't,
GameCube
I haven't
one.
played that one.
Nice.
Continue your JRPG description. Sorry.
So, I mean, I don't really have like much more to say. It's just like in terms of if it just meets certain requirements, it doesn't necessarily have to meet all of them, but like some sort of statistical progression, there's usually
That means like leveling up, right?
yeah, there's usually like they're usually pretty menu based no matter like which, even in like action RPGs, like Kingdom Hearts has a lot of like menu based stuff, and so does like Phantasy Star Online. And Paper Mario does too. So like menu based gameplay in general, I think is pretty important. And then aesthetically, they tend to have Japanese sensibilities, both in like environment design and character design. So like for character design, most of the characters are definitely like anime inspired, and environment design, like for the most traditional of JRPGs, it's usually like usually pretty colorful, and a lot of like exploring a whole world. So like seeing a lot of different like outside environments specifically. Like you usually don't get a lot of like grit
Yeah.
or like, really subdued environments like you would in like a lot of Western RPGs. It's usually like pretty colorful and pretty fantastic. So
What are the big JRPGs?
the big
Right.
JRPGs.
See you.
RuneScape, I think, is one of them.
No, not quite.
I mean, like
Good game though.
the biggest franchise is definitely Final Fantasy. Like when it comes to this, I feel like Final Fantasy sets the standard for JRPGs in terms of like what they are, not necessarily like quality, although there are a lot of good ones. But the big names I would say are Final Fantasy, Persona at this point, the Mother series.
Chrono Trigger.
Earthbound, you mean? For the American listeners.
Yeah.
I know we have a lot of Japanese listeners, but
Yeah.
You got a translator?
yeah, I'll be doing the translation.
Can you say a single word in Japanese? Say one.
Nihao Kailan.
I don't.
Isn't that?
I'm
Isn't
embarrassed. I can't. Right now.
Hideo.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Hideo.
also the Tales series, or the Tales of series, and
Pokemon,
Dragon Quest,
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Digimon.
Hideo. That's fun.
I think that pretty much covers them. I want to consider like the Chrono series like it's under the umbrella of this is a Square RPG, so it's big, but it's not necessarily like a big name or like it's not a franchise.
I think Chrono Trigger itself.
Yeah,
is a
it's
very
huge.
big one.
yes, that is true.
Not the series though.
Yeah.
Barely anybody knows that Chrono Cross exists.
Yeah. But like this is for me JRPGs are probably the epitome of what a game is to me in a lot of ways. Just in the personally, and I'm just talking about like in terms of what I'm looking for in a game. So, and this is where we're gonna get to this nostalgic portion. When I was like really, really young, like 8, 9, 10 area, I would go to my friend's house, and like I grew up playing video games before this, but I mostly was playing games like in the Mario or Zelda series, or just like one-off titles that you just get because you're a kid and you have no choice over what you're really getting or playing. But I would go to my friend's house down the street, and her older brother would always be playing these. This is the same brother that I discussed in the RTS discussion, like, because he would play those, like all the Blizzard RTSs. But he was also a huge JRPG fan, and I remember like I was already really into anime. Like specifically, I would watch like a lot of Dragon Ball and Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yu Yu Hakusho, criminally underrated.
No, it's not. It's huge. That's
matter-
like a huge anime.
No matter how good people think it is,
Okay.
always underrated because it's so good.
Yeah, you can make that argument. But like, I was really into like like just a ton of shonen or action anime, and like, I wanted that sort of experience in game form. So the first time I think the first like JRPG I saw was either Final Fantasy VIII or Legends of the Dragoon or Legend of Dragoon. I can't even remember. It was like,
Is that the PlayStation 1 game?
yeah,
That game's cool.
yeah. That game is like, it's sort of critically panned. Like some people
Was
really,
that a
really like it, but some
Sony
people
company game?
don't. I don't know. I don't know. who
I'm thinking
bought
of
that game.
Jade Cocoon. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
What?
This
I've
is
never heard
Legends
of
of the Dragoon, and several things appeal to me about it. First of all, just like the Japanese sensibilities of like they, were very anime inspired. You had these characters like with absolutely ridiculous like outfits, performing these absolutely like ridiculous over the top moves, and like I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
And so, but like as a young kid who didn't really know how to get his hands on games that weren't just given to him out of the blue or like for birthday or Christmas, I like for the longest time I just didn't like, I wasn't able to play them. I would just watch them at my friend's house, and it built up this huge like almost hype for when I eventually got to play a JRPG, and this continued on until like well into. So wait, let me back up.
Pretty recent. I mean, like the first like Keenan let you play his JRPG recently, and that was like the first time you played one, right?
Keenan?
It's a game.
I'm missing something,
I
I'm
made
sorry.
a JRPG. I don't know what the joke is.
Just keep going.
I was going to continue
Sorry.
with the
Just keep
joke,
going.
but I had no idea what it was. Yeah, I made a JRPG starring all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I made one too.
How do you not get that joke?
It's called
Escape
Escape Jordan Japan Edition.
/ Jimmy C.
So,
It,
so anyways,
So these are all weird
I still
Mike Davis inside jokes that we're telling right now.
Not really.
I think this was mostly informed because like the system I was playing the most was an N64, and the N64 just like does not have JRPGs.
Dude, Quest 64.
No, that doesn't count. I played that game and I knew it wasn't the same. Even back then, like when I had very little like, perception of quality, I knew that wasn't what I was looking for.
That game is top notch.
But so this went on until I think like I remember watching this guy, like he played Final Fantasy X, and I remember him watching him play Blitzball, which is like this sort of water polo based
yeah.
mini
Very
game in the game that you
weird
can go
mini game.
Yeah, but you can go really deep into it, and he played it a lot. So I watched him play a lot of that specifically, and then I later watched him play Final Fantasy X too, which
Did they keep Blitzball in Final Fantasy X too?
I do not think so. But that game primarily stars the female cast of the game, and it's just like this fan service game. But like it's way flashier than Final Fantasy X, so I was like, I was like, this is still really cool. And I think the first JRPG that I asked for was Final Fantasy X too.
How old were you? Is our age difference just far enough apart that I think you were a complete loser for asking for that game at whatever age you were when it came out?
Probably. But so I did have a JRPG before this, and it was Final Fantasy VII. Mm-hmm. I got it when it was the first time my family went to Hawaii. My dad works in Hawaii, and so we go every like 5+ years. And we went to Costco, and I remember like that he played Final Fantasy VIII, and I saw Final Fantasy VII there, not knowing like how well respected or anything that game was.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, a Final Fantasy game. And it was also like a greatest hits at that point. So it was like $20 or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like begged and pleaded to buy that game in Hawaii, which like I didn't have my PlayStation there. And also only my grandma had a PlayStation, so like I would have to go to her house to play it. So, but I wanted it so bad.
What games did your grandma play?
It was
Did you play,
for
like, the wrestling games or maybe like Frogger, the Frogger PS1 games?
We had weird PS1 games at my grandma's house. Like the reason why like this PS1 was at my grandma's house was because like
Kids would get bored from grandma's stories.
well my family and
Grandma's
like my
cookies.
cousins would always go to her house and like hang out, and
So you would get bored of
something
grandma's stories.
something happened with, I don't remember
Some
what
of the
happened
kids
with this
fell
PlayStation.
asleep from
Listening
grandma's
to grandma
stories.
tell her stories.
Ate too many
Okay.
cookies.
Grandma.
tired.
I think
Too many grandma
an
cookies.
interesting thing that viewers probably won't expect, because David loves JRPGs to the point that he wanted to do a podcast about them, is that David does not respect Final Fantasy VII as much as
This is true.
you big JRPG fans probably think he should.
I don't think he's ever even beat it.
This is true as well. I've
I
only
don't
made
think
it
he even
Fake
knows.
Casual.
So
Casual.
so anyways, Final Fantasy VII was the first JRPG I was able to play at my house alone, besides Pokemon.
You're not qualified to do this,
And,
Cass.
I'll take over. I played Final
that's the
Fantasy
first.
VIII.
anyways, but you also have to imagine when, like, my dad finally gave into the idea of buying this game in Hawaii with a system we don't really have. Like, it was bad for me in the long run, because then the rest of that trip, I was just waiting to play that game. Like, I opened it up and I was just reading the manual and looking at the manual, like,
Was the manual big enough to actually like have something to read?
I mean, not really, like, not enough to,
last for 5 more days or whatever.
Yeah. And our first trip was like the longest. We went for like 3 weeks or something, like way longer than we ever would like these days. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like.
Did you play any HRPGs while you were over there?
Hawaiian RPG?
Yes.
You're just kind of playing a real life Hawaiian RPG.
Yeah.
I want to go off
Or you
on a
just play as a
tangent.
kid who really wants to play a JRPG. That's the
I
premise.
want to go off on a tangent real quick.
Or
One
kid who
time-
really wants to drink a coconut.
Yeah, drink a coconut.
I want to
Oh.
drink a coconut real quick.
One time, something similar happened to me where I think Guitar Hero 3 had just come out. Or maybe it was one of the Guitar Heroes. And Guitar Hero 4, pretty much when Guitar Hero 1 came out, to about when like Rock Band 3 came out, that was like my genre of game. I like played the guitar part on I bought like $100 worth of Rock Band songs. Like,
Wow.
I just like spent all my money on like Rock Band songs and stuff just because I love rhythm games. And I think when Rock Band 3 came out, I got it. And then like the next day we like left for Mexico. And so like, or no, it was Guitar Hero. It was Guitar Hero Metallica. That's the one it was. And Metallica was like my favorite band for a while too when I was like 14. And so like the whole trip, I didn't care about where we were. I just wanted to go home and play Guitar Hero Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand. I feel your pain, Dave.
Yeah. I mean, I seriously did the exact same thing here where it was like on our second trip to Hawaii, like 5 years later or something. And I bought the orange box on the trip.
Oh.
And I just was like, man, I really want to play Half-Life and like all these games. Anyways, I don't know why I keep on torturing myself when I go, but
To Hawaii?
Yeah, but I do it.
What
You
would-
hate Hawaii, right? You must.
No.
You just want to make sure that you have a bad time every time you go there.
What?
Yeah, that for some yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me when it comes to that stuff. But what were you gonna say, Josh?
What could you, like, get next time you go to Hawaii that would give you the same thrill you got younger from video games?
Well, I'll tell you what I did this time,
Yeah, what'd you do?
which like was just this last summer. That was the third time we went. I think I bought my arcade stick on the trip.
Wow.
Like at a store?
No,
Like on
I
Amazon?
ordered it.
And you had it sent home?
Yeah, like it was during like the last days or something, so it would be there when I would get home.
Oh, that's less bad than buying it on the trip and
Yeah,
yearning the whole time.
yeah. But the whole thing was okay, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole thing was like I don't know. It wasn't as bad as the other times, especially because of just age. But I don't know why I keep on doing this sort of thing. Anyways, so finally get a Final Fantasy game, and I'm only able to play like 30 minutes at a time at my grandma's house. And I finally,
How many hours is that game?
like 40 plus, like 40 to 50.
You were going to see Grandma a lot, weren't you?
Well, the thing is, like, I couldn't, like, it just, I couldn't go just to play that game. There would need to be a reason.
Like, to hang out with Grandma, like, kind of reason?
Yeah, or like it would need to be a family event or something, or so.
So you just started getting really into family events?
Yeah.
Like, really, like, encouraging your family to go to everything?
But eventually what happened is so my grandma only lives like a couple blocks away from us, and I eventually broke down and just walked to my grandma's house and walked back with the PlayStation because I couldn't stand it. I was like, I will bring this back next time we have a family event so everyone can play or whatever. But
You're not playing this, Grandma.
But yeah, exactly. I was like, this is ridiculous. I have to play this game. Like this, my life's work has, come to this point.
My life's work as a 10-year-old. I need to play Final Fantasy.
I would have preferred this story if you would have hatched some kind of 10-year-old spy secret scheme to break into your grandma's house
Oh
and
no,
take the PlayStation.
it was entirely like I was not supposed to do this. And it was also weird just walking a couple blocks with all the cords like in my
Dangling
arms.
down.
Yeah.
Did you
But
tell your parents before you left?
no, I didn't.
Oh my
like
gosh.
I went during the day and I just took it.
Were your
Like
parents home?
I can't remember the.
Was your grandma home?
I don't know, but like
He broke into his grandmother's house.
well,
I was never here, Grandma.
I knew where like my grandparents hid a spare key,
Oh, so you did break.
and
Oh
so
my God.
yeah, like
Yeah, I would have done the same.
yeah, I
I'm gonna
had
call the police.
so I pulled this heist to get this PlayStation. Finally got it home. Finally started actually getting into the game, and so when I first started the game, like even at my grandma's house, I remember immediately already being a little bit disappointed in Final Fantasy VII because I had seen Final Fantasy VIII. I had seen the full scale models in the world that they used for that game, and then when you play 7, when you're in the world, you're these little
Everything
like
looks like dirt. Yeah.
yeah, horrible looking children.
Triangle men. They're
Yeah.
triangle people.
I mean, you got to see those cutscenes of Squall and
Yeah, exactly.
Riona or whatever her name was dancing in the beautiful ball.
Yeah.
I always
And
forget his name is Squall. They changed it to Leon for Kingdom Hearts, but his name is Squall.
Really?
Yeah, because Squall is a stupid name.
wait, no, but Leon is still part of his name, right? Isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
but
like
his-
Leon Squall Reinhardt or
Yeah,
something,
but
right?
no
Like
one
something
calls
like, or
him
Lionheart. Or
No
something,
one calls
something
him
like that.
Leon in Final Fantasy VIII, and no one
Yeah.
calls him Squall in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
That's
The
weird.
Squall part is because it's kind of a dumb name.
It's an unusual name, but do you think everything unusual is dumb?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
certainly, actually.
So what
You
ended up
don't, you're wrong.
just to wrap this up, what ended up happening with Final Fantasy VII was the pre-rendered backgrounds of that game were so bad that
You learn to program.
no,
And you
that,
fix them.
that I couldn't figure out like where to go at the certain section. I just kept on getting stuck in this area that had like random encounters, and so I was just playing all these random encounters over and over, and like several like hours later or something, I realized that this little wooden look like line that was a part of the pre-rendered background was some sort of bridge that and I just couldn't tell that was what it was, and you were supposed to walk across it or something.
Wow.
But by this point I was already like
I feel like
set
an
with this game.
important part of playing those games as a little kid is having a strategy guide.
Yeah, that is also true.
I mean, like, those games can be kind of hard, but if you have a strategy guide as a kid, you're fine.
yeah, but
So you spent so long looking for that everyone in your party was level 100, and the game was not fun anymore.
yeah, I mean I was just like I was
Were
already
you,
fed up
like,
with that
really
game.
high level?
I
Just
don't
from- you probably not,
just because of the way like a JRPG works, like I don't think I didn't grind that much that like
50 hours of grinding
yeah
in that one spot.
yeah, because like you get diminishing returns on like those beginning enemies.
I was thinking about, you were talking about the Blitzball minigame in 10, and 8 had like a pretty extensive card game.
Yeah, people really like that card game.
It was cool. Did 7 have anything like that?
7 had I think it's called the Golden Corral. Wait, is that the pancake place?
That's that's the buffet restaurant,
But
which
is-
we are sponsored by the way.
Convenient.
I can't remember what it's called. It's the Golden something, and it's something like Corral. And it is a collection of mini games. So there's like a snowboarding mini
Okay.
game. That sort of looks like Snowboard Kids or something.
Is there anything in 9?
Yeah,
I
that
haven't
guy
really
with
played
the
9,
tail.
so I don't know.
Yeah, the minigame is you chase your tail.
Yeah, I mean the main character's got a tail. What else do you want from a game?
What else do you want?
That's the one that has Vivi in it, right?
Yeah.
9 the first one.
15 has some kind of like fast food minigame where you and your buds take the car
Or you go to
through the
7-Eleven.
fast food and you just kind of hang out and party. You go to 7-Eleven, try to
Just
pick up
loiter
chicks.
outside of it for hours. So are you like Jay and Silent Bob or something? Is 15 starring Jay and Silent Bob? Because that would be pretty cool.
That is a good idea.
I'm gonna call up Mr. Final Fantasy. I don't know what his name is. I don't remember. I don't know him that well, but I'm gonna call him up
Kevin
on his personal phone. Yeah, I'm gonna call up Kevin Smith and let him know that I think that needs to be in the game.
Should we talk a little about Pokemon?
Mike's tapping out.
Yeah. I just to really wrap up this this Final Fantasy Chronicle. So I asked for 10-2 because that was going to be my redemption for 7. And because I was like, this game looks better.
Yeah, this one's really going to be the good one.
Yeah. So, but, you know, that's a confusing naming scheme, like 10 and 10-2, or like X and X2. And so for Christmas, my parents got me 10.
That's good.
Just 10. And at the time, I was so disappointed. I was like, oh no, this is the
really
wrong
liked the
game.
girls.
Well, yeah, because I just want to play the new thing, the new Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And so I actually didn't put it in, like, my PlayStation 2 for, like, a couple months. And then when I finally did, I remember playing, like 8 hours that day and just being so in love with it. It was everything I wanted 7 to be at the time. And ever since then, like, I've just been huge into JRPGs. Like, it's still till this day, like, it's one of... It is probably my favorite genre. Like, yeah. So that's you know, the origin of this. But Pokemon also has a big role in this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that is culturally the biggest JRPG we've had.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Whether people know it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Pokemon is so relaxed, so casual. The games are so short compared to a regular JRPG. You can't they're obviously
pretty long. I feel like they take like 40 hours.
I think they probably should take way less than that.
Oh,
Usually.
maybe I just suck. The first one I beat was Black. I'm not sure if like the length of Black is longer than like Red.
I think those ones are a little longer. I don't know. When I think of
You
Pokemon,
also can just kind of take your time with them if you want.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of Pokemon, when I was a kid, what I would do in Pokemon would be pick my starter and just use nobody but them. And if you just use only your starter, you can beat Pokemon in like 4 hours because they'll just get over leveled like crazy, and you'll just plow through everybody. And like, I don't know. I think, and that's sort of what makes Pokemon what it is for so many people, is that it's the only JRPG you can do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that in like Earthbound.
Yeah.
Or like Final Fantasy. You can't just like use
But that's also
one guy only and plow through it.
That's also not really the way you're intended to play, and probably a lot of people didn't play that way.
No, that's true. Yeah. I mean,
Because everybody just wants to get as many different Pokemon as they can because
Yeah.
they're cute.
yeah. Pokemon is a pretty important game for me. It was just like one of the first few games that I owned. Like,
Yeah.
I think I had.
I think it was probably an important game for all of us, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Maybe not as
No,
Sebastian.
I never played Pokemon.
But I mean,
I
like,
found a cartridge of Red like 3 years ago on the ground, and I played it for like 20 minutes.
you could probably sell that for quite a bit. Those games are worth a lot.
I think I lost it.
I still have my card of Red in my room.
It's worth a pretty penny at this point.
Pokemon Red was like my first like multiplayer social
Yeah.
experience of a game ever. I like, just a little brag here. I was in the gifted classes. I was a pretty smart kid.
That's just a smart
And
guy.
once a week, I would go and hang out with all the smart kids. And all of them had Game Boys. Well, I had a Game Boy, but all of them had Pokemon. And, like, the game just seemed weird to me. And I was like, why would this be fun?
Mm-hmm.
This is such a weird concept for a game. But, like, everybody was playing it at every recess, like,
Yeah.
linking up and playing together. And so when I got the game, like, that was such a fun way to be able to get into that game.
Totally.
Like, with this network of kids who were all playing it and we were battling each other. And
Yeah, they're
making
like,
teams.
will never be something like that for us again.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's just like the perfect storm of the technology is simple enough to use for small kids. That was the height of Pokemon mania.
Yeah. I mean, like, as I got into it, it was actually before, like, the TV show
Yeah, that's true.
and everything, like, came huge. Like, I just rode the entire wave of it, like, getting huge, and I was so obsessed.
Yeah, me too.
And so,
I do remember Pokemon like at recess being a really big thing, but it was more of a negative memory for me because
Because you didn't play.
Well, I didn't have a Game Boy, and I remember I used to really want to watch it, and then one day all these kids were like, "You can't be here if you're not. We don't like you looking over our shoulders."
That's
then-
cruel.
But in retrospect, now you just realize how incredibly stupid those kids were.
I mean, honestly though, I kind of get it. I would literally, if one kid pulled out a Game Boy, I would just go and sit by him, even if this kid's by himself, and watch what he was doing.
It is hard to
kind of
watch a
annoying.
Game Boy. They're very small.
Yes,
And I would,
and
I would like be peering over their shoulder.
and-
I would definitely be invasive. Like
and
I
the
totally
viewing-
get why they didn't want me there.
Yeah,
the viewing angle for a Game Boy is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
you have to be right next to that kid's eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same angle as him.
It's funny that they still got that problem with the 3DS.
Is
Except
it-
for the new
oh.
3DS. But the new
Yeah,
3DS,
but like with the 3D on.
yeah.
Yeah, but
I gotta play with 3D all the time. That's the only way I get a thrill.
I do remember really wanting to get Pokemon, or the games I remember kids playing were Pokemon, and then like one of the, I think Game Boy Color, Tony Hawk games.
Oh yeah, those
I
were
really
weird.
wanted to get a Game Boy, and my parents were really against it, and they didn't let me get one. So
What was the rationale?
they didn't want me to play video games.
Yeah, I think.
And I mean, like, giving a
is
kid
that
a
something everyone's butt
Well,
up
no.
against?
They were fine. I had a Nintendo 64. They were totally fine with me having a console.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like
But,
giving a kid a portable game is
I
a different
remember-
thing.
Right.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
true.
remember going to like my elementary school, my dad seeing the fact that all the kids were during recess sitting down in the one shaded area.
Has your dad been to a school in the last 5 years? Because he would cry.
Do kids still play games?
I
I'm
just mean
surprised
like
kids are
because
allowed to play games in
everybody's
recess.
on their phones now. That's what I mean.
Yes, that's
It's
true.
much worse.
Everyone's pulling
Yeah.
out their big 1987 Game Boys and still playing.
So it was like
Kids are playing gray
specifically-
Game Boys.
It was specifically with Game Boys that my parents were against. But I hadn't touched Nintendo 64, but my parents were still pretty against me playing video games in general. Like they only got me I only had like 2 games. or
Yeah, I
something.
really butt up against my parents for a long time with that, but I think eventually parents got to give up on
Well,
these sort of things.
Your mom lets you play as many games as you want now.
Yep.
I mean, that definitely affected me.
I'm on my own. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna stay up. I can stay up late and
I
drink
mean,
caffeine.
your mom does call sometimes. Dave, are you still playing?
Yeah, and she can hear the ringing of my CRT, and she knows.
And you shut it off. And you're like, no, I heard the TV shutting off sound, David.
I think my parents and the way they felt about games definitely was a big reason why I'm like not as into games as I maybe could be now. Also
you
because
just
like
didn't play 'em
Is
as
it
Well,
because
they
you never
did-
broke through?
Yeah,
What?
you just gotta.
My passion was just so strong that when I finally broke through, it became
I mean,
a permanent part.
I
of
would
me.
play games, but my parents would kind of like we always had just one TV, so it's like they would never they would always want to watch something, and also they would kind of make me feel bad if I was playing games.
Oh.
And I mean, I also think about like the issues I have with like immersion in game and stuff, which I think, wow, definitely is a reason I've never played a JRPG because I just
You can't make that big
They
of a
require
time
high
commitment.
level.
But also,
Yeah,
I don't think I started playing video games with sound until like 2 years ago.
Because you were just always playing them quiet while your parents
Like
were doing
muted
other stuff.
completely. So my parents would tell me like I don't want to hear that, and
Yeah.
they never got into games, and like these are like voice acted games.
So yeah. So
like
are you good? Are you talking about like foul language in them too?
my parents wouldn't care about that.
Oh, okay. Because
But that was I remember when I had played San Andreas, and I was like I should
probably keep the sound
probably keep
off.
this down.
yeah, because like
But
So-
it was not. That was more just like they didn't want to hear video games in general,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Looping music.
or like just the same sound effects.
Yeah. So I was very fortunate when I was a kid because like in like the hangout room, there was like a bigger TV that people would like always be watching, whatever on. And then next to it was there was always this like 12-inch little TV that like had the consoles set up on it. And so there would always, like, my siblings would always be watching something on that TV, but I would be able to play video games like at the same time. And there was a headphone port. I didn't use the headphone port very often because I don't think I had like the headphones like wouldn't reach or anything. So, which like was really scary when I started getting into JRPGs because like there's mild swearing, but I was still at the age where I was like, oh my gosh, like if they hear that, it's like they're gonna take away my controllers or whatever. And so if the game gave me an option like Tales of Symphonia did, I would turn off the voice acting, so I would just read everything. But I don't think Final Fantasy X had that option. So I played a lot of that game.
They were pretty proud of those voices.
Yeah, that game
Maybe
really.
that's why I didn't realize how bad the voice acting was at first, because I straight up didn't hear it.
Yeah.
The first time I played it.
It's so funny. That game is like notorious. That game has three things that it's well known for. What's the sport called again? Blitzball?
Blitzball, yeah.
It's well known for blitzball. It's well known for being a good game, and for the shit voice acting, and just general writing and acting. The dialogue.
That was the jump for Final Fantasy to voice acting.
Yeah.
And it really showed.
Yeah, it was tagged as like one of the main features on the back of the case. Like I can distinctly remember that.
It just really showed that the dialogue that they had been writing all this time really wasn't great.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that now, like, consistently games have gotten better dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why it's so shocking when you play a game like Life is Strange, and that is the kind of dialogue that would have been in Final Fantasy X.
Totally.
Maybe it's just Square Enix is bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, is that Square Enix?
Yeah, it is a
well?
Square game.
I mean, part of that game, not to go on, that game is not a JRPG at all, but part of that game is that it is written from the perspective of, like, I don't know what to say, like...
Teenagers?
Teenagers, yeah, just, like, trying to sound real, like teenage, modern college students, and anytime, if a game mentions even it's a fake version of Facebook or something, or like selfies or anything dumb like that, I like cringe already.
Yeah.
I mean, like specifically in that game, it just seems like there were a couple words they just wanted to use. Like, like one of the main one of the first conflicts in the game is like someone's boyfriend was sexting someone. It's like,
what was the other?
They seem to want to say sexting.
Yeah.
And then there's like selfies they talk about a lot.
What was the context for when the girl says, "Go fuck your selfie"?
It's because I decided to take a selfie in the middle of class.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and so it's just like that reminds me of like the Final Fantasy dialogue. They just have a thing. They have a thing they want to say probably, and they just write everything else around this thing. It feels like.
Well, the writing, I think, because like Square had like Chrono Trigger has pretty good writing, but the writing really goes down when you hit 7. Like, because the PlayStation was obsessed, like, particularly with JRPGs. Like, PlayStation games were obsessed with having these, like, really heady, convoluted plots. And, like...
Yeah. And JRPGs themselves are all about that anyway.
Yeah. And you see what's spawned off of that. Like, the only series that, like, has continued from that era and like has started with the convoluted plot is Metal Gear, and look at where it is now. You know what I mean? Like, except Metal Gear sort of was able to salvage itself.
I mean, like Kingdom Hearts is sort of like that too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Kingdom Hearts is a mess. Like, I mean, 7 on in terms of plot, like for Final Fantasy and just Square RPGs in general, are for the most part complete messes.
How did they handle? I was just thinking about this. Like Final Fantasy VIII and maybe 7 does too have all these pre-rendered cutscenes, but there's no voices.
Right.
What did they do?
I mean,
Did they show subtitles in them? Or was there just never any dialogue in those scenes?
In 7, there wasn't dialogue.
I mean, they would
Weird.
just be big action scenes.
Yeah, that's weird.
I could be wrong on that. Maybe they do show the words in some, but like in the ones I can remember, like Cloud on the motorcycle or like Aerith's death, like there wasn't any dialogue.
There's not like Aerith
I think there might be.
as she breathes her last breath.
Yeah.
What?
Died.
How does she die?
Sephiroth.
No, I mean like with like a sword or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Sephiroth's
have
got
you not
that
seen the
long-ass
scene?
Sword.
I don't think so.
Like Sephiroth. So they're at this like sort of sanctuary place.
Spoiler alert.
And yeah,
Real quick.
sorry, but they're in a fountain, like Cloud and Aerith together, and Sephiroth from the ceiling, which is like, it's like a cathedral type ceiling, so really high up, breaks through like the glass at the top, or I'm not sure if it was glass, but like he breaks through the top of the ceiling, going like this, like sword thrusted down, and just like. It's like Link's down A move in Smash Brothers. He does that to her and just stabs her through the torso, and that's how she dies.
Oh,
Why?
Why?
Is he? He's just an asshole.
he's a big boss.
I care. Like,
I mean-
Aerith is like the last, like, member of this certain like magic race, and there was some reason why.
Oh man, genocide.
Yeah.
Damn.
He was Hitler.
I mean, that is something about the Final Fantasy series is they do deal with big topics. It's just the writing is generally really convoluted. But like,
Ham-fistedly.
I'm
a little bit.
I'm interested to see, because like a lot of JRPGs do tackle like,
Yeah. The big ones.
yeah, like in Final Fantasy X, you kill God, and you do the same thing in 6. I didn't play 6 when I was a kid, but like in 10 is a total like criticism of organized religion, and then you kill God. And then like the same, there's sort of a similar thing in Tales of Symphonia where like it doesn't go that far, but like the
You just killed Jesus in that one.
there's
It's
just
like
there's just this sort of like aura of tradition around the whole game, and you end up doing this like ceremony with one of your best friends who is the chosen one, and you find out that like the last step of this ceremony, like that takes up the whole like first disc of the game, she has to die, and you as her friend like doesn't want that to happen, and so you have to fight against literally like, you know, the world tradition and like of everything to save your friend because you think like the belief is messed up.
Yeah.
Or, like, so I don't know. I'm like interested to see how that like has affected me psychologically, just because like I played those games at such formative years.
yeah.
But like I don't think I necessarily
Want to kill God?
yeah. I don't think I necessarily comprehended it at the time, but like those are definitely prominent fictional themes that I was going through like that when I was, you know, young.
Yeah.
I mean, JRPGs are cool because they are one of the few game genres that will cover those those topics.
Yeah, totally.
And it's you always wonder why they do, because those are extreme topics for a game.
Yes.
Like, and I guess
And they're taken to such like they're not only extreme topics, but they are taken to extremes. Like
you very unsubtle.
Yeah, you could have a game of, like, you know, being critical of religion, but you won't kill God in that game.
Yeah, except if it's in like a JRPG. And I
Yes,
mean, that's
exactly.
what's kind of I think a lot of the reason why that kind of stuff is just so okay to most people is because of how kind of ridiculous and like kind of
and it's presented so fantastically,
badly done the dialogue and stuff is.
Yeah.
If it's just like the gameplay is good and the world design and all that is really cool. The topics are big and extreme and a little edgy, and the writing is just stupid.
Yeah.
Which is like combines really well to make parents not afraid of these games.
Yeah.
Yeah. If like Fox News like had the the tolerance for the fantastical elements of these games and was able to actually get at what these games are doing, that would have been the big controversy.
Yeah.
But of course, like.
But nobody's going to play through a 20-hour game, and like the kids who are playing through a 20-hour game are so smart that they're never going to go out and Columbine.
They're not going to go and Columbine. I'm going to Columbine you, Josh. Fuck. That's messed up.
So, any big overarching closing thoughts?
I mean, to this day, JRPGs are
the most successful game genre.
Like,
I think that's actually like MOBAs at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
What's a MOBA?
Like Dota and
Yeah.
League of Legends.
Oh,
a MOBA like Dota.
Doba MOBA.
Dobas.
Doba.
Jobas.
So,
MOBA 2.
like,
Yeah, my favorite game is MOBA too.
the popularity and the quality of JRPGs have definitely gone down, like, particularly, like, with the latest generation. Or the last generation.
Well, I mean, it's definitely not what the pace of games are now.
Yes, that is also true.
Games
It's
are
just
that's
like-
a big reason why I don't play JRPGs. It's like
It's
seems like the time
slow.
investment. It's not even to me. It's not the pace I mind. It's like I don't want to spend more than like 5 hours,
Yeah.
7 hours in a game.
I mean, yeah, the most recent JRPG I played through was Persona 4 Golden. I think that was the most recent one I played through.
Which is the longest game of all games.
Yeah, and it took me 71 hours to beat.
See, that sounds bad.
See, and the thing is,
That sounds
these
crazy.
days I'm like I barely have time for, games that are like 5 hours or whatever. But
I mean, you're trying to get your speed to give up robot faster so that you can not have to spend so much time on it.
I didn't get the joke. On it?
He's saying that you have so little tolerance for game length.
You have so little time to spare.
That's the reason I'm speedrunning it,
Yeah.
is because I...
You just want to be able to beat
Yeah.
games really fast.
See,
so you don't
I'm
have to waste time
honestly
with them.
interested in playing JRPGs. Like, I like the idea
Persona
of getting.
4, the JRPG to play, even though I just said it's like the longest one, it is Persona 4.
I mean, just play like as much as I played of it. You'll have fun. Like, you don't have to finish.
Yeah.
Like,
When I was a kid, there were so many JRPGs I started that I didn't finish.
I just mainly I have a little bit of a hard time with the art style. Mainly.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
the anime art style?
Yeah.
that's
I don't
just
think that
something-
stuff looks good translated to 3D.
I think that's something.
But
But it's
Persona
mostly
looks
not.
cool.
What?
It's mostly not in that game,
Okay.
is the thing.
Yeah,
It's
Persona
because
looks
all,
fine.
yeah,
I mean,
all
I
the,
don't- I don't
all
know
the
about
dialogue
Persona.
is done through portraits.
The style of game
Yeah.
you kind of have to just get used to too.
Yeah.
Like you can't just jump into JRPGs. Like I think the reason I like them at all is because I played so much Pokemon
Yeah.
that I kind of like got a stomach for them. And although I haven't played them too much, like I recently beat Earthbound for the first time.
See, and
We
Earthbound
are
seems,
going to have an own. Earthbound has its own.
Earthbound does
Yeah.
seem like a game I'm more willing to play.
Yeah.
Persona seems a little bit daunting just because of the length.
Yeah.
But the main thing with Final Fantasy games was it's like I just don't have any understanding of what universe those games exist in.
The thing is they all exist in different universes.
Yeah, and like,
I feel like I
It's
just have no ground
different
for that.
Final
time
Fantasy is
periods.
very. It's like for the young mind, I guess. Like, just the world that they establish, like, it's so different and like so fantastic that it works when you're it really like it still works on me just because like I was exposed to it when I was young, and it's like what I resonate with now. But when you're a kid, you'll just like accept the rules of the world so much easier, and like the aesthetics of the world so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Where like, because like it's just harder to lose yourself in something like that when you're older.
Yeah, and I would like to experience those games, and I've tried like reading a little bit about Final Fantasy games, but like since it seems like such a specific, unique thing, which I think is really cool that it's so unique, it's hard for me to understand because like if I see something that's like a Middle Earth kind of based thing, like I kind of get the tropes are going to be associated with that, or a sci-fi thing, or like a more fantasy type thing, but I have no idea. Like,
that's why I think you should play Persona, because it's just set in the modern world, and it's like
so that seems,
teenagers hanging out in high school, and like.
Although I feel like
that sounds cool. And Earthbound also seems fine because it's just kind of like
those would definitely be like my two like highest recommendations, especially like for older people trying to get into JRPGs.
I guess Pokemon also, like that universe seems. I just had a hard time with the mechanics, so that like
a lot of the appeal, I think, of a JRPG though is really that it's completely like, I think for me, and I think a lot of other gamers, I hate saying gamers, but anyway,
you could say gamer gators.
Yeah, for me and a lot of cool bro dudes who game, you know, that's what I am. But anyway, I think for a lot of people, such as myself, the fact that a game world is extremely foreign is a big plus to the game, because it's sort of, I mean, I don't know, it's not that it's of course not that I live in the real world, so I've seen it. Mm-hmm. You know, I get the real world. I like to be put in a game something that is pretty foreign and something that is extremely different from the real world, because then you have something to discover.
Yeah.
And like such as Dark Souls. It's pretty similar to, it's just a fantasy setting. It's a great combination of a Western fantasy meets Eastern sensibilities.
Yeah.
And so it melds to create this world that's extremely weird and has new takes on tropes like Grim Reaper kind of guy and big skeleton guy and all that stuff. And and it creates this world that's really unique and interesting to see. Every part of it, I'm like, what is next? And same thing with like the Final Fantasy games, and like pretty much most JRPGs set in that Final Fantasy-esque setting, where it's a nice mix of like Western. It's most of these games have like a mix of Western fantasy, Eastern sensibilities, sort of cowboy elements a lot of the time, and sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you just wonder how they're going to mix them. And also religious overtones.
Yeah.
In most games, there'll be like gods and goddesses and dragons, but
magic.
But people that ride dragons and magic.
Yeah.
And like magic that is mixed with technology and stuff. And that's just like, it's really cool to go, because no other type of media will expose you to these settings like a JRPG would. Like, because most other games just don't take place there because it's a weird kind of place to take place.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy is really good with that, because like all the names of the summons and like a lot of the enemies you'll come across like are taken from different mythologies, not just Japanese, but like, you know, one of the summons in Final Fantasy X, and also like in a lot of them, like I know
the Chocobo,
Chocobo,
is Shiva, who's an Indian
the Chalupa
goddess, I believe.
Yeah, yes, and I mean,
and Bahamut and
Baphomet.
Okay.
I always said Bahamut.
I think that there's somebody named Bahamut.
Oh, sorry, but you're okay. Sorry.
Oh, I thought he was talking about something else. I don't know.
I thought Bahamut was from something other than the Final Fantasy games. Maybe they just changed the name.
That's possible. I don't know.
You seem to not be that into the dialogue or the writing in these games, but do you like the stories?
I mean,
Depends on the game.
I guess Final Fantasy specifically. I'm talking
so for me, like a lot of the. It's a tough question because I think it's so tied, like the story and the characters are so tied within like the mechanics of the game too. So, like the writing itself might not be that good, but like when JRPGs are like largely founded on this idea of the party system, right? Where you have your main character and then you have like all these friends pretty much. And all of these different people, like usually their personality is reflected through their like battle
Just their battle style.
yeah. That's why, and like
Girls are always motherly and healers.
well, I think Final Fantasy 7 or sorry. No. Final Fantasy 6 is actually a really good example of this because you have like a more traditional feminine like female character who's more of a healer type, but then you also have this like really like she's presented as like almost like a Viking woman, and she's like the one that ends up performing in the opera, and she's like a tank, and so you get like their personalities and everything like through more than just the writing. It's also like through the mechanics, and you get that in Persona too. I mean, Persona is really based on that, and I think that's why I really like them is because even if like the writing's bad and maybe like the dialogue's a lot like can be pretty bad, you still grow attached to these characters because you get a sense of who they are. Like,
Yeah, and I mean, you also just adjust to the dialogue and you stop thinking of how bad it is, like according to what we're used to.
Yeah, and I'll agree. For me, a lot of time personally with Sebastian suggested that, like, I agree that the dialogue and the writing isn't good, but I like the plot and the story.
Yeah.
Especially, particularly for me, with the Kingdom Hearts series, I actually, for some reason, I mean, because it's so fantastical and weird, I'm extremely interested in the plots of those games. I really want to see what's going to happen, and I like to read about just like the plot of everything because everything is so crazy and convoluted and strange.
yeah.
But the dialogue makes me physically cringe.
Yeah.
Especially when Goofy and Donald are talking about their friendship with Sora.
Did you like Goof Troop?
Loved it.
I love how Kingdom Hearts has Organization 13 and there's still
Donald and Goofy as
yes.
well. Yeah. Oh, I mean, like,
Kingdom Hearts is the weirdest franchise in the world.
but that's why that game is interesting at the same time.
Exactly. I mean, it's these characters that we will never find a position to be interested in again, other than that. It's like, I'm never going to watch a new Goofy movie. Disney probably won't make any new movies about those characters, though. But regardless, like, I'm not going to watch a show. I'm not going to watch anything new that has Donald, Goofy, Mickey, everybody in it.
Yeah.
But if they're like inserted into this mature story, I will.
I mean,
and I can draw from everything I already feel
like,
about those characters.
I'm so interested in Mickey Mouse's role in Kingdom Hearts because he's so mysterious in that game. He is like
he's like almost never your party member.
He's such a big deal too. I mean, he's just
is he your party member sometime?
He does fight with you in Kingdom Hearts 2 at one point.
Okay,
it's just like
maybe like right at the end.
Yeah,
okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's just the whole time is like, he's like Gandalf. You know, he's just going around behind the scenes, like going into the craziest places, taking care of shit. And like he could be literally any character, and I would be interested in what he's doing. But because that game has got Disney characters that I know, maybe not even care about. I don't give a shit about Mulan or any. I'm not a big Disney fan, but I know of them, and like the worlds of Disney are very interesting because they're just so well designed art wise.
Yeah,
I mean,
I care about what's going on. Like in Kingdom Hearts, I love Mulan and all these characters that I usually don't care about.
You have to imagine when Kingdom Hearts first came out as a kid who loved Final Fantasy and who like Disney was a staple in their house. Seeing those two worlds collide
Yeah.
was, I'm not sure if I exactly understood what was going on, but to this day, that merging of Final Fantasy and Disney characters is, I can't believe it exists.
It's
Yeah.
the most ridiculous crossover in human history.
Yes, it is. I don't know. I can't understand how that happened.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could do a separate
It's impressive.
cast about Kingdom Hearts
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we have a lot. Most of us here have nostalgia for that. Like those games are cool, and I would like to talk.
They're
about
just they're very unique games.
them.
Um,
But JRPGs are good.
there
That's
was.
that's my closing statement.
Yeah.
I love them.
My closing statement in response to Sebastian's question. My serious answer is that it's just like any longer form piece of media. It's like reading a book or watching a television series. I mean, you're just able to get more invested in a way that you're not in a 10-hour game.
Yeah,
And
I mean, the amount of like every time I play through a long form game, such as like Kingdom Hearts, which are they're not that long, but they're pretty long.
Yeah.
And then like Earthbound, that was a long game. Every single day for like 3 weeks, I played that for like 4 hours at least. But you just get to the point where, like if you're watching a television series that you really like,
Yeah.
like what Josh did with House of Cards recently, like you just like get to the point where you have to spend 15 hours in one day or something.
I guess I now that you mentioned that, I guess that it extends to other media that like I just don't choose to consume things that take a long time. Like, think of maybe can't think of a TV show I've ever finished.
It's true. And I mean, I guess that's the kind of people who will binge watch. Like, I think I watched 2 seasons of The Office over the course of one weekend once.
I'm pretty envious though, because I do really want to get into stuff though.
Yeah. I mean,
I just
this
find
is your
that
chance.
I just find that I get it. Like I will like something like Breaking Bad. Like I was pretty into Breaking Bad, but
Dude, watch
Did you
Full
never
Metal
finish
Alchemist
it?
with me.
no, I just like got really annoyed and finishing it
Wow.
by like the second half of the 5th season.
That's what you got. Wait, you
Whatever
stopped watching then?
the second half of the 5th season is a real low point.
Right after
So late.
I stopped like right when like Mike gets killed.
I mean,
Yeah, 'cause
everyone agrees.
Wow.
This is my opinion, but the last half of that is just the best TV. That's the best it's ever gotten.
Yeah, that's probably
It's
true.
as good as it could
God,
get.
why don't I watch it?
You still
I
can't.
don't-
Now I
And you
can.
said you've lost interest
I
at
just-
that point.
I mean,
Not at the Fly episode.
no, I didn't lose interest in the story. I just didn't want to watch TV.
Should we wrap up this?
Yeah.
JRPG
Yeah,
cast
I
really
was
quick?
just gonna say.
Try Persona 4.
I was gonna
Like,
say Senpai noticed me.
Yeah.
Senpai looked at me.
I also want to end.
Senpai Dave.
What
I
is
also want to
it?
just say
What does that mean?
I hope Senpai notices me today.
Persona 4
That's what it
Golden
is.
probably my favorite game of all time.
There you go.
So
Suck it, Last of Us.
I'm searching the quote. Senpai noticed me. I hope.
I hope
will
Senpai
notice
notices me today.
That is a little sample of the great dialogue in these games that you need to check out.
Cool. What is that from? What
Was
does
that
that
in
mean?
Persona? 'Cause that's a
It was in
classic anime
Persona.
trope. Also,
It's a catchphrase commonly associated with anime shows.
What does it mean?
Oh my god.
thank you.
Images
you bags of
utilizing
garbage.
these catchphrases.
We're out of here. Is that
yeah,
how
thanks
we
for
want to-
listening. JRPGs, I always thought were really good, and I still think they're the best.
They're good.
Yeah.
They're the only games that I can. The only 2 genres of game that I can spend. 3 genres of game that I can spend 1,000,000 hours is JRPGs, whatever Dark Souls is, and Dota, whatever that is. MOBOs.
Mobus.
Motherboards. All right, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with another topic. Thank you.
Thank y'all.